With the kids back in school, they're back to all the triggers that can cause asthma to worsen. And our health specialist, Leah Sarich, is here now with what parents can do to try to help their children with asthma stay out of the hospital.
Yeah, so this is something that happens every year in North America, right around this sort of time. In the medical community, they call it the September spike. So this is a spike in the number of emergency room visits for asthma-related problems. And it happens right around now, but usually it happens a little bit later, about the second or third week in September. But I spoke with the respirologist at the Alberta Children's Hospital, and he already says this year the Calgary spike has started early.
Well, so far we've had 8 children come through the intensive care unit with asthma in the last week of August, first week of September. So it's been a busy year, and it seems to start a little bit early. So I want to remind all our asthma patients and parents to take your controller medications regularly. If you're finding difficulty, contact HealthLink or your care provider.
Right, so parents, they really need to have your children on their controller medicines right now. So their controller medicines sort of help prevent these asthma symptoms from happening in the first place. They basically reduce the inflammation in the child's lungs, so it helps them sort of get through all of the cold and flu season kind of business. And what happens is that a lot of times doctors and parents will say, well, let's just take a break from those controller medicines over the summer because you're not exposed to that population, the colds and flus aren't floating around. But really, the respirologists are now saying, geez, you know, maybe we shouldn't be taking that break over the summer, and we should just keep the kids on these medicines all year round to try to avoid this September spike. So that's something they're talking about right now. The doctors are also hoping that this year isn't really just a big cold and flu season starting right now. They're hoping it's just the spike starting a little bit early. Otherwise, we could be in for a really bad cold and flu season. Yikes. But regardless, the usual precautions for cold and flu season are going to help your asthmatic child.
If you look at the data on the studies, half of the patients that got sick had enterovirus or rhinovirus, a type of virus that is communicated between humans. So our big feeling, it's a viral epidemic that happens every September when kids go back to school. So please wash your hands, and if your child's sick, if you could have other options of keeping them home and avoid them infecting others, that would be great.
So that's really important. So wash hands. And that's mom and dad as well as the kids. And then make sure your kids are washing their hands all throughout the day over and over again. And of course, if you can keep them home when they're sick, that would be great. And of course, what you're seeing there is the action plan. So most asthmatic children in Calgary will have gone through the Children's Hospital and will have met with a nurse educator, an asthma educator, and come up with an action plan for their family. And those are really, really useful. They basically outline for your child and for your family what to do if your child starts having symptoms. And in fact, we found, the data shows that if you follow your action plan, the number of hospital visits with a child with asthma have actually gone down.
Oh, great.
So they really, really work. So what they're saying is if you can really use your action plan, make sure you've got it on hand, everybody knows what to do if you have some symptoms with your child. And then, of course, all of those simple precautions that happen in the cold and flu season. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, and stay home if you're sick, if you can do that. That would be really great. Now, if your family has not, if they've fallen through the cracks and you don't have an action plan, you can certainly get one. There's an I Can Control Asthma website. I'll have a link to that on my blog, so you can go get your action plan there. But we know the data shows that these action plans work, so really do use them. They're really, really helpful.
Fantastic. Avoid that September spike.
Yes, if you can, that would be great.
And a worse cold and flu season.
Let's hope that's not the case.
Yes,
we're
absolutely.
watching.
Leah's blog, of course, on our website, breakfasttelevision.ca. Thank you, Leah.
You're very
Still
welcome.
ahead. They call him the most miserable man in comedy, Jeremy Hotz. We've given him some content, I think, with our weather. It's 8:12. You're watching Breakfast Television on City.
BT's Body and Balance is sponsored by Canada Diagnostic Centres, offering MRI, X-ray, and ultrasound services in Calgary and Okotoks.